Hi, I'm Asterales Sedai of the Yellow Archer. Here is a recap for non-book readers of Season 1, Episode 6, The Flame of Tar Valon, of The Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime. If you're like me and can't get enough positive Wheel of Time content in your life, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Spoiler warning, I will be discussing characters and events up to Episode 6, but nothing that happens differently or later in the books. This is safe, as long as you've seen Episode 6. Let's go! This episode opens to a flashback. A little girl is woken by her fisherman father. He calls her Swan, and they go out to get the early catch. Her father is struggling with knots in the nets. He's lost his left hand, and he has to use his teeth to try to unravel the knots. Swan moves her hands and channels the knots undone. Her father is grateful, but also cautious. He's worried her channeling may have been witnessed. After a day's fishing, they return with full nets, but find their home has been burnt down. The dragon's fang, a symbol we've seen a couple of times before, is marked on the wall of the fishing shack. The message is loud and clear. Girls like her are not welcome where they live. With the remains of the shack still smouldering in the background, this is the very same day, her father reluctantly puts her belongings on the boat and tells her she needs to go to the White Tower. He says he can't follow her where she needs to go, no more than a fish could touch the moon. But she points out that fish touch the moon's reflection every night. Clearly, she is a very smart girl. He says goodbye to his daughter, Swan Sanchez, daughter of the river, clever as a pike, strong as the tides. With that final blessing from her father, she begins her long journey upriver alone. After the opening credits, it's time to meet the Amelin seat that has been mentioned in the last couple of episodes. The little girl from the humble fishing shack has risen to the top of the ranks and is now arguably the most powerful woman in this world. As she takes her position on her throne, every woman in the room bows to her, and with a simple nod of command, her 2IC, or Keeper of the Chronicles Lyanna, then announces to bring in the false dragon. It's Logain, being dragged in by two of the tower guards. He's still in the same fancy pajamas he was caught in. She tells them to unchain him, as he is no threat, and asks him why he's here. Logain has a little speech ready, defiant and venomous. He gloats that even with their pathetic parade, people will remember that one man fought against 9 Aes Sedai and still managed to stake one to the wall. The hall are shocked, but Swan is unmoved. She sees through the speech for what it was. He's used the last of his strength to provoke her and earn a death sentence. But there's no easy out for Logain. She passes her judgment, and he will be kept alive in the tower to serve as an example to other men who would dare channel. There is not a shred of mercy from the Amelin here. He will live out the rest of his days in absolute despair until he finally succumbs to madness, and she delivers his verdict without any emotion or anger. He is dragged out, still begging to be killed. Once he's gone, it's question time for Liandrin, Moraine, and Alanna. They all say it was their only choice, given how strong he was, to gentle him. But the Amelin chastises them. The laws are there to protect others from their power, not for their benefit. It's very similar to what Karini said before she died. As Liandrin was in charge at the time, she will be the one punished. To deflect some of the blame, Liandrin moves the spotlight to Moraine. What was she doing with the most powerful channeler they've seen in 1,000 years? Moraine outright says she was unaware Nynaeve could channel. She suspected, and from that little admission, it's obvious why people do not trust Aes Sedai despite the 3 O's. There's a lot of room for speaking no word that is not true. Liandrin says Moraine needs to be questioned on her travels outside. What was she even doing? The Amelin asks her directly, "What is the purpose of your travels?" But Moraine refuses to answer her. The Amelin is incensed. How dare she defy a direct order? She tells Moraine that she has become too arrogant, and puts her in her place in front of all the Aes Sedai. Moraine prostrates herself to the Amelin, and the Amelin states that she will deliberate on the best punishment for Moraine's disobedience. Outside, Alanna tells her to apologize while she still can, and picks up a fruit snack from her warder without breaking her stride. Thanks to the water bond, he knew she was getting hungry inside. Liandrin confronts her and gloats. She knows Moraine is up to something, and now she'll only have a day to do it all before her punishment. In the next scene, Moraine is pouring herself some tea. Is she taking a break before doing what she needs to do? Nope, it's business as always. From that position, she is able to spot Nynaeve and Loyal leaving the inn where Rand and Matt are staying, and she swips in with Lan. Rand was expecting Nynaeve, and when he realizes it's Moraine, he starts to panic. He asks about Perrin and Egwene, and she says the same thing to Rand that she said to Nynaeve. She has watchers, and she'll know when they arrive. She asks how long Mat has been like this, and Rand says, about a month, but it's nothing, just a fever. Mat stirs, and as Moraine approaches, Rand draws his sword on her. Lan is unimpressed. He just points his finger at Rand and gives him one chance to put the sword down before easily disarming Rand and pinning him to the bed. Rand calls out desperately he hasn't channeled, but that's not what is concerning Moraine. Mat draws his dagger, and Moraine instantly blocks both Mat and the dagger with the one power. In a line everyone can relate to, "Oh, you stupid boy," she notes that it's a dagger from Shadala Goth, and commands both of them to hold him down while she deals with it. The blackness is pulled out of Mat's mouth, onto Moraine, and then into the dagger. The danger is past, for now. Outside on the balcony, Rand sheepishly approaches Moraine to thank her for helping Mat. He saw that she took on the evil for him. Rand's cautiously happy. If Mat doesn't have channeling sickness, maybe he's not the dragon. Moraine says it still can't be ruled out. Mat should have been consumed by the evil from the dagger, but he's stronger than he has any right to be. They're interrupted by Nynaeve, who has found some herbs to heal Mat. Moraine tells her that she's in over her head and that her pride could have killed Mat. Next up, Moraine is in a bathhouse. Now is she finally getting a chance to relax? Nope. This time, she's set up a business meeting with one of the other Blue Sisters, who's not happy. There's turmoil in many places. Ships are disappearing in the west, there are Trollocs in the Two Rivers, and surprise, surprise, an Aes Sedai sank the Terran ferry. She knows that was Moraine, and they've sent money to rebuild it. The Blue Sister then offers to put in a good word with the Amelin, so she can stay in the tower and settle down. But rather than being pleased, Moraine becomes uneasy. As she pulls her towel up, a yellow flower falls out. That message was from a Yellow Sister. She's one of Moraine's Eyes and Ears network, and they've found Egwene and Perrin. Egwene immediately asks about Rand and Mat, and Moraine gives her the same answer she gave Nynaeve and Rand. She has people watching for their arrival. Speaking no word that's not true, Moraine's hidden the fact that she's already met with them. Keeping secrets is as easy as breathing for her. Egwene shows her the cluster of rings she took from the White Cloaks, and confidently declares that the main White Cloak won't hurt any more sisters. The tiniest hint of amusement on Moraine's face betrays that she's not so sure. She walks over to examine Perrin's back, and tells Egwene that there are no greater healers than Sisters of the Yellow Archer. Egwene brings up her concern about his internal scars, though. Perrin's eyes had gone golden when he was being tortured, and wolves had attacked the White Cloaks almost like they were listening to Perrin. Moraine warns her not to tell anyone of this. Now Egwene is even more worried. Is Perrin the dragon? Moraine gives her the standard "I don't really know" explanation. As the sun is setting, Lan bursts into Moraine's room, saying he can't feel her and the bond has been masked. It's not an act of jealousy, though. He's genuinely concerned for her safety, and says he can't protect her if he can't feel her. In a not-so-subtle "good night, Lan," she tells him to be on his way. He tells her he will stand watch until she returns, and in a sweet acknowledgement to Moraine, says, "Give her my love." He knows exactly where she's going and why the bond was masked. Once he's gone, she closes the portrait above the fireplace and channels into it. A portal opens and she steps through to a place that looks very much like the fishing shack we saw in the opening. The Amelin is here, but looking very different from the woman in full regalia in the hall of the tower. This is the real Swan Sanche, with her hair down, the fisherman's daughter. She's not happy with how things went today, saying it's made what they're trying to do a lot more difficult, but she doesn't stay mad for long. It's a touching reunion, a small taste of enjoyment that reinforces just how much they've sacrificed over the years. Afterward, Moraine tells Swan that she's found the dragon, but that she's still not sure who it is. 5 of them are candidates. She's been on the mission so long that she's beginning to doubt herself, and Swan correctly points out that that's exhaustion talking. Moraine wonders if they should bring more people in on the plan, but Swan says if anyone else finds out their secret mission, they will be stilled as punishment. What is stilling? It sounds ominous and permanent. She tells her to focus back on what's important. Whether 5 or 1, man or woman, the danger is that the dragon will either defeat the Dark One or join him. Moraine says she will kill them herself before allowing that. Swan has more to share. She's been having significant dreams about a place called the Eye of the World. She's seen the Dark One himself there, weak but growing in power, and thinks that if they strike now and early, they can destroy him. Moraine says the others will likely die in the process, but Swan's silence says that's a price worth paying. Moraine then shares her final piece of bad news. Her punishment tomorrow will have to be exile, otherwise she'll be stuck in the tower on Bathhouse Blue Sister's orders. The next morning, Moraine's walls are back up, and it's all business again as she strides through the corridors with Lan. Liandrin catches them and flaunts her knowledge of the 5 Two Rivers villages, all connected back to Moraine. Moraine's one step ahead though, and threatens her with her own juicy bit of knowledge. Liandrin's been secretly meeting with a man in North Harbour. If she makes a move, Moraine will tell the Red Sisters where he lives and what that would mean. Who is Liandrin's mystery man? Lan's been busy too. He's arranged a meeting for Moraine with Loyal, the Ogier, and warns her that he's very upbeat. Moraine takes this info and runs with it. She's full of smiles and expression as she greets him and asks him for a favour. She's also got time to show Egwene the hall of the tower and the Amelin seat, the physical seat that is, confusing, and reunite her with Nynaeve. Moraine's not doing this for the Two Rivers girls though. Just as Ran and Matt said, they're being used for her own purposes. She brings them to meet with Swan, the person that's also the Amelin seat. Just like with the Tinkers, Egwene is quick to catch on to new cultures and ways. She observes Moraine bowing to Swan and copies her. Nynaeve doesn't move at all. Egwene swells with pride as Swan mentions she's the most powerful channeler they've seen in 1,000 years, but then turns in shock when Swan says, Nynaeve Almira. She's disappointed, but accepts the thanks of bringing home the Aes Sedai rings. Nynaeve tells her to get to the point. Swan stands to talk to Nynaeve, but it's clear her words are for Moraine too. I know what it is like to wonder why you couldn't just stay home, love the people you love, and grow old with them. Nynaeve is dismissive, but Swan warns them. They can't escape their fate, and the wheel is calling them, whether they can bear it or not. As Alana said in episode 4, the last battle is coming, and the only thing that matters is what you do, not what you want. Bless Egwene. She's over her disappointment of not being the strongest channeler, and asks, what do we need to do? Clearly, she's all in. It's time for Moraine to say goodbye to the tower. Lan offers to be with her, but she says she'll be okay. Once in the hall, the Amelin passes the judgment Moraine asked for the night before. She will be exiled. And for the punishment to be truly binding, Moraine is made to swear on the oath rod that she will honour and obey the Amelin seat and never return until she is called home. Moraine swears the words, but it is to honour and obey the person, Swan Sanche, rather than the office of the Amelin seat. It's another heartbreaking scene. They may never see each other again. Moraine walks out and is symbolically shunned as every sister turns their back on her. Only Swan watches her leave. Outside, Alana is confused and upset, but sneaks one last glance of goodbye before also turning in obedience to the judgment. Leaving Tar Valon, it's time for Moraine to live out what she said in the last episode, that the saddle and her cloak is her home. She's back where she truly belongs, on the road and away from Aes Sedai headquarters. She reaches a strange structure on the top of a hill, and is soon joined by Loyal, Perrin and Egwene, Ran, Matt, Nynaeve, and Lan. There are smiles and hugs all around. It's the first time they're all back together since Shadar Logoth, and in Nynaeve's case, since the Two Rivers attack. Lan and Moraine say goodbye to their own horses, and then send all the horses off. The Two Rivers villagers are stunned, but Loyal says horses would not survive the ways. The ways, he tells them, are ancient pathways for fast travelling. He's explaining more, but Moraine interrupts him to say it's the fastest way to the Eye of the World, which she tells them is the location of the Dark One's prison. One of them has to finish the job they started in a previous life, because if they don't, darkness and death will fall across the land. Egwene points out, what about those who aren't the dragon? After a very long pause, Moraine admits she doesn't know, but the pause is enough for them to realise it's probably not good. Moraine channels to open the portal. The other side is dark, very dark. Moraine starts to walk in, and Egwene is the first to make a move to join her. Lan and Loyal are closer, and are technically the first in behind Moraine to pass the portal. Rand is next, with Nynaeve and Perrin bringing up the rear. As the portal closes, they realise Matt has stayed behind. They scream for him, but it's too late. A flash of lightning crashes, and we cut to black. Thanks for watching. If you liked my spoiler-free summary of this episode, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for future updates. And remember, yellows make the world a better place.